Shut up and sit down.
Essay on Grandparents. Grandparents Essay for Students and Children in English. In pre industrial and post industrial setups, the family seemed to be the only functioning social unit. This means that life for every individual started and ended within the family. The concept of joint families gradually evolved with the rise of modernity. People in joint families lived together. In the case of joint families, grandparents had a more prominent presence. Such grandparents would usually be the head of the household because of their age. They also had an important role to play in strengthening family ties and resolving family issues. Children would look at them as their household friends. From reading out stories to saving the child from his parents, grandparents were an integral part of any family with a large number of children. Apart from being caring and protective, grandparents would also be very inspiring to the children. They would often act as role models and provide children without enormous support. In some cases, grandparents would be a child's only hope. With the advancement of age, family structures broke down into several small units. Joint families became nuclear families. Most of these nuclear families would consist of a single child and two of his parents. The absence of a household friend often has a psychological impact on the child. Without grandparents, the child tends to be alone and unattended most of the time. This is because these days both the parents of a child seem to be working. The whole concept of nuclear families has eroded the idea of grandparents to a considerable extent. Parents do not allow children to engage with their grandparents in any way. In the case of vacations, they opt out of letting the child visit his or her grandparents. Instead, they send them vocational training. Competition and globalization have played an enormous role in influencing the attitude of the parents. Most of them want to make their child the best among everyone. Since this attitude is shared by many, there is always a sense of strong and stiff competition. The thought of such competition takes away a child's hobby and his or her pastime. This makes it even more difficult for a child to know his or her grandparents. On the other hand, globalization has ushered in the idea of separate and independent living rather than living together. Most parents often resort to living separately because they feel that their parents are a burden after a certain age. Often, cases are heard when the elderly are seen dead in their households without anyone getting to know about it. This is the worst possible situation for any person. Being a grandparent has thus changed its definition these days. It is more about a formal relationship rather than a close one. This leads to two things. One, grandparents become more lonely and suffer from that while children are unaccompanied. Two, since they are deprived of a particular form of care and attention. Over the years, grandparents who were the lifeline and the backbone of individual families have come down to being a single entity. All this is because of a change in how people look at their lives have changed. 10 lines on grandparents essay in English. Grandparents are the lifeline of joint families. The whole concept of family has changed over the years. Grandparents are usually not present in nuclear families. Children look up to their grandparents as household friends. Grandparents are more protective and caring than their parents. Children tend to enjoy enormous love and support from their grandparents. Grandparents are usually considered to be burdensome these days. Grandparents often become lonely because of nuclear families. Globalization and completion these days have reduced the stature of grandparents. Children these days are often not allowed to meet their grandparents. Grandparents are sometimes a source of hope for children.